Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking a declassified timeline that honestly reads straight out of a Hollywood thriller. But according to the source material we're looking at today, this was entirely real. I want you to picture this. It's 2 a.m. Suddenly, the lights go out completely across Caracas, plunging the entire city into total darkness. And by 5 a.m., literally just 3 hours later, the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, is just gone, extracted right from the heart of a heavily fortified military complex. So today we're going to walk through the declassified details of Operation Southern Spear, and we'll analyze the crazy tactics and advanced weaponry behind an extraction that changed the geopolitical map practically overnight.
So the big question is, how do you capture a high-value target when the whole world is watching? It's a massive logistical and strategic puzzle. According to the intelligence reports we're analyzing, the answer is actually misdirection. While the eyes of the global community and, of course, the international media were glued to American aircraft carriers making waves out in the Caribbean, a highly surgical, invisible shadow war was quietly unfolding right on the ground. This wasn't some sprawling, chaotic invasion. No, it was a precise, targeted extraction, completely masked by what might be one of the most elaborate military diversions in modern history.
Okay, let's dive into this with Section 1, the masterclass in deception. For months, you see, the United States maintained a naval quarantine around the Venezuelan coast, officially under the guise of counter-narcotics. But while the Navy drew all the attention out to sea, U.S. intelligence was secretly tracking one specific man, basically just waiting for that perfect window when he'd be stationary and vulnerable.
To really understand this, we need to look at the tactical roadmap, which breaks down into 4 clear steps. You've got step 1, the setup, which is that naval quarantine we just talked about. Then comes step 2, the strike, designed purely for distraction and, well, destabilization. Immediately after that is step 3, the raid, which is the actual boots-on-the-ground breach. And finally, step 4, the extraction, getting the high-value targets the heck out of hostile territory before the adversary even realizes what's hit them. When you see it laid out like this, you really grasp the synchronized, clockwork nature of the whole operation. The execution here was blindingly fast. Exactly at 2 a.m. Venezuelan Standard Time, high-altitude F-35 stealth fighters punched a hole straight through the enemy's anti-air defenses. By 2:15 a.m., strikes hit Fort Tuna, which is their main military base and command center, as well as the La Carlota Air Base. These jets created a literal, deafening sonic shield along with widespread explosions. By 2:30 a.m., total communications blackout. Now, the chaos wasn't the main goal here. The chaos was the cover. It completely distracted the military forces, hiding the real mission that was happening at the exact same time. And by 5 a.m., like we said, the target was gone.
Let's move to Section 2, executing the surgical extraction. While the skies were just screaming with F-35s, the ground game was quietly moving in. Tier 1 Delta Force operators actually flew their helicopters well below radar coverage to breach a secure safe house deep inside that massive Fortuna complex.
Now, this detail is absolutely wild. According to our sources, the CIA had planted spies directly inside Nicolas Maduro's close circle. The intelligence they gathered was so incredibly precise that back in the U.S., Delta Force actually built an exact one-to-one replica of the target's safe house. I mean, they rehearsed this raid over and over until they can navigate the hallways, the doors, and every blind corner, literally blindfolded. They ended up knowing the layout of that safe house better than the guards who were actively protecting it.
Which takes us to Section 3, the escaping high-value target. So the crucial point is, when Delta Force finally breached the compound, they moved with terrifying speed. You had dozens of attack helicopters providing cover outside, while inside, operators were using flash grenades and blowtorches to completely disorient the presidential guard and slice right through reinforced doors.
Within moments, Maduro and Cilia Flores were physically secured and immediately airborne. According to the declassified timeline, there was no negotiation here, no diplomatic surrender. They were detained instantly. They were quickly loaded into specialized assault helicopters. These are aircraft uniquely capable of pulling off tight urban extractions right out of city buildings and then refueling in midair. Just minutes after the initial breach, they were already leaving Venezuelan airspace, heading straight for a secure floating staging base out in the Caribbean.
Now, on to Section 4, surviving the air defenses. Because pulling off an extraction inside a heavily fortified capital means you first have to neutralize a highly lethal integrated air defense network.
And we are talking about a seriously lethal environment here. The network stationed on the border included advanced Russian S-300 and mobile book missile systems, dense Chinese radar networks, Iranian Shahed drones being used for reconnaissance and kamikaze strikes, plus a fleet of around 21 Russian Sukhoi Su-30 multi-role fighters. To suppress that absolute juggernaut of foreign military hardware, the U.S. deployed around 150 aircraft and a massive fleet of 8 U.S. destroyers. Essentially, they had to carefully suppress all of this, signaling they are absolutely ready to dismantle the entire defense network if needed. This brings us to Section 5, why F-35s over F-16s? And it brings up a super fascinating technological question. Why deploy your absolute newest stealth fighters when Venezuela itself is flying 5 aging Peace Delta F-16s? Well, and this brilliantly illustrates the point. Sending legacy F-16s into a dense air defense network like that carries incredibly high attrition risks, mostly because they're super vulnerable to radar detection. Honestly, a cheap, mobile Russian book system could take out an F-16 with ease. But the F-35? Its stealth design allows it to fly practically undetected. And when you combine that stealth with its advanced sensor fusion, electronic warfare, and data link capabilities, the F-35 can adapt on the fly. It can simultaneously suppress and target both mobile and fixed defenses without ever even being seen. It's a real game changer. But stealth is really only half the battle, right? The other half is just sheer geography. 1,300 kilometers. That is the distance from Puerto Rico down to Venezuela, which is roughly 810 miles. F-35s flying at high subsonic speeds take about an hour and a half to cover that distance. And since the F-35's combat radius is approximately 770 miles, these jets had to rotate continuously and required some incredibly precise fuel management. To strike that deep inland and ensure the whole operation succeeded, air-to-air refueling tankers had to be strategically deployed to keep this sonic shield actively rotating. And when time was of the essence, the U.S. had another trick up its sleeve: 10 to 15 minutes. To put that into perspective, that is exactly how fast F-35B variants, the ones that can do short takeoffs and vertical landings, could reach inland Venezuelan targets when launched from those amphibious assault ships positioned out in the Caribbean. It provided this incredibly flexible, rapid sea-based strike option. Whether they were targeting command centers or air defense installations, having the ability to put a stealth fighter directly over a target in a matter of minutes is just a staggering tactical advantage. Which leaves us with this final, truly provocative thought. How does the F-35 redefine persistent air superiority in future high-stakes extractions? Because Operation Southern Spear wasn't just a raid, it was a demonstration. By networking, stealth, electronic warfare, and rapid sea-based strikes, this deployment went far beyond just a simple counter-narcotics mission. It proved that heavily fortified multi-nation air defenses can be completely dismantled in minutes, permanently altering the geopolitical map of South America and perhaps, honestly, the entire world. I really hope this explainer helped you grasp the incredible mechanics behind the shadow war. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.